niggas is crazy, baby. Don't forget that boy told you get that. Turn up your
Yeah,
show.
real nigga, what's up? Now she want a photo. You already know though. You only live once, that's the motto, nigga.
That's a real nigga for you. To all my Brooklyn, to all my uptown, to all my
Niggas
bros.
that hide out, all my niggas that hide out.
Race is a short word with a long history. Every person is a combination of their parents, grandparents, and family ancestry, which makes them unique. It's important to celebrate these differences in personal identity. These differences often cause discrimination and oppression. Racism is the belief that characteristics and abilities can be attributed to people simply on the basis of their race, and that some races are superior to others. Racism and discrimination have been used as powerful weapons, encouraging fear or hatred of others in times of conflict and war.
This upcoming video presents a clear indication of racial discrimination as a woman verbally abuses Black people on a subway train in the UK. Her vulgar and degrading words are a prime example of the racism that occurs in our world today.
Mine. Britain is nothing now. Britain's fuck all. My Britain is fuck all now. Britain's fuck all. My British is fuck all. Excuse me, there's little kids on the tram. Yeah, it's fine. Mine, we have to take a little kid in. Then have respect, yeah? Have respect. Little boys here, if you don't use those words. I've got a little boy here. Yes, but get off the tram then. Fuck you. And you. Fuck you. Did someone need to tell you up? Really? Yes. I'll dare you. I'll fucking dare you. Just watch your language, man. Don't watch my language. Go back to where you come from. Go back to God's fucking Nicaragua or where you come from. No, Nigeria. No. Where is that? If we don't come here, you guys don't want to work. No. You guys don't want to work. We have to do the work for you. Go and work. I work. It's my British country. Until I let you lot come over. So what? So what is your British country? So what? Yeah, it's my British country. Not to call me black. Not to call me British. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. You ain't British. Fuck off. You ain't British. You're black. You're black. You ain't British. You're black. Yes, because I'm black. Where'd you come from? Where'd you come from? A lady. Where'd you come from? A lady. Where'd you come from? Because now you're fucking waking my baby up. So you want to shut your mouth. Where'd you come from? Good. And now you're waking my baby up. I'm English. What have you got to say to me? Fuck all now. Shut your mouth. You know I won't shut my face. No, someone's got to talk up for this. Look, the whole fucking tram. Look, it ain't.
Racism is an ongoing global issue and social injustice that continues to affect many individuals around the world. Racism and racial discrimination are often used to describe discrimination on an ethnic and cultural basis. Here we have interviewed two young women of African descent speaking about their beliefs and how they view racism as in our society and media.
My name's Medina Gabber, and I'm 18, and I'm of Eritrean descent, which is in Northeast Africa.
So how has racism affected you?
Well, actually, it hasn't been that much of an issue in my life. Like, there have been, like, smaller instances, but I guess the most prevalent one was, I think it was last Christmas. No, it was 2 Christmases ago. We went to a Christmas Mass at St. Norbert's Church, and in the middle of the Mass, I was sitting in a pew, and there was an older Italian lady that she obviously needed the seat, so I gave her the seat so that she could sit and, you know. And she dropped her bag at some point in the Mass, and I picked it up for her, and, like, all of her contents fell out. So I kind of just, like, helped her because she couldn't bend. So I had to, like, kind of help her, like, scoop everything up and put it in her bag. And at the same time, like, my phone was in my sleeve. So it fell out and hit the floor. So I picked up my phone and, like, put all of her stuff in her bag. And gave her her bag, and then I, like, stood beside her. And then she put her hand in my pocket and took my phone and put it in her bag and didn't say a word. And I looked at her, and she was just kind of like, "It's okay." And she, like, tapped me, and I was like, "What do you mean it's okay?" So I didn't say anything the entire Mass. I just left her. And at the end of the Mass, I was like, you have my phone in your bag. And she she was like, what? No, I don't. Like, that's not your phone. Like, she just thought I was accusing her of stealing or something like that. So she looked in her bag, and then she found 2 phones, and one of them was hers and one of them was mine. And then she was kind of like dumbfounded, and she was so embarrassed, and she just felt really stupid. And like everyone around her was kind of like, wow, like it's Christmas and you're gonna, it was really bad. My father was really, really heated, and he like wanted to yell at her, and because he speaks Italian, like he was ready to like scream, but he just let it go, and I kind of just let it go, and I was like, whatever, she has an older way of thinking, so I'm not gonna hold that against her. It was just kind of sad to see that even on a day like Christmas, like, it was kind of sucky, but yeah.
My name is Anna Gabber. I'm 16 years old, and I'm of Eritrean descent.
So how has racism affected you?
Racism hasn't really affected me too much in my life, just because I grew up around a lot of different cultures, even though it was predominantly like Italian. There was this one incident when I was like maybe in grade 4, and I was hanging out with my sister and my sister's friend, and my sister's friend had a neighbor with like a playground in front of her house. So one day we went over and played with my friend's neighbor, and we were just playing or whatever, and then later on we left, and then the next time we saw my sister's friend, she told us that her neighbor's parents didn't want us hanging around the neighbor anymore, and we kind of were just really like dumbfounded and didn't really know what to do. We were kind of like, what, okay, then like we won't hang out with you anymore, but that was probably the first time anyone was like bluntly like just like did not want me in their lives because it was black.
So what are your feelings towards the use of the N-word in the media?
I think it's quite irresponsible, actually. I think they're trying to make the word something more of a social way of addressing someone, and they're not really taking into account the meaning that it had.
Feel like people in the media, in the music industry, really took the power away from the N-word, because it's like they're using it so often. Like, it's such a norm now in society to use it, so it's like takes a lot of the real like the bad connotation that comes with the word, I guess you could say.
How do you feel about how openly the N-word is used in society?
I think it's used very openly, and it's sad to see, because it's like most of the people that are using it so openly, it's like they don't really know the history of the word and how it really affected a people. It's sad in a lot of ways, because you can see that some people do actually get offended by it, and people just kind of, brush that off as if it's like not a big deal because they didn't go through it, or whatever the case may be. Like they were never a slave, or their grandparents were never slaves. When you come from a minority, regardless of whether you're black or not, you feel racism in a lot of different ways that maybe people of the majority don't feel. So using any kind of word that belittles your minority, it's offensive, and it's really sad.
Personally, I don't really feel that society is completely at fault. I think that the reason why it's so loosely and like openly used is because of how the N-word is like so commonly used in the media. You'll see rappers that are, like black, claim to, be hurt when like other people of different races say it, like mainly white, but really it's their fault for using it in songs or using it. They know it's going into the ears of a lot of people, a lot of young, impressionable people.
So how do you feel about the way black people portray themselves in the media?
I think that it's really upsetting. Just for me, a black girl, I don't really get into trouble and I get fairly good grades, and I think that the way black people are portrayed in the media is just really discouraging, and it makes it that much harder for people that aren't like that to just, for people to respect them equally.
And since the N-word is used so frequently, do you feel that white people think that they can use it as well?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen so many, like, I'm not even going to name people, but there's just so many guys that I see in high school especially that use the word so obnoxiously and like they're so ignorant when they do it because they really don't have any clue what kind of pain people went through before. Like, it's not to say that you know, we should be scared of the word and like no one should ever use it. Like, it should be taught, it should be known, that like it should be learned about, but it's not something that you should be using so openly. Because like the rap industry and the music industry, well, rap specifically, it's predominantly black, right? So it's like, if they can use it and they're comfortable with it, then I feel like white people are like, you know, well, why can't I use it? Because they're not offended by it, so like it's not really a big deal to black people. And you have to keep in mind that that's the sort of image that they want to portray, that they don't really care about anything, or it does offend people that actually do respect their culture and respect themselves.
I ride for my niggas down. I ride for my niggas. I slide for my niggas down. I ride for my niggas.
Stay scheming. Niggas tryna get me.
I ride for my niggas.
You can't even find any songs without it. And it's spread so much to the point where it doesn't really matter if you're black or not, the N-word is going to be said.